catch up with emails.
About the new concealed carry?
No, yeah, we just guns in general. And the debate.
I'm sure that was in it.
You have a gun?
Yeah. I haven't shot it since I left Arizona, though. I don't really know where to go right now.
Did you see the Jan Brewer's response to the owner of the Phoenix Suns?
No.
Quick trips to Walgreens are always a win because Walgreens has a surprising amount of stuff, like everything I need to get through my crazy morning routine. Eggs, butter, bread, strawberry jelly, stain remover for said strawberry jelly, brown lunch bags, toothpaste, hair dryers.
We're going to take the vote at the next meeting. They'll be the one.
We don't have a big crowd out there today.
Instead of me coming in,
You're just gonna have to pray to us, not for anybody out there. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Anything I'd like to ask Leonard Cook, St. John, the Journal. Welcome back again. You're always beautiful. Giving us our invitation. Welcome if you would do that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Oh Lord our God, before we conduct this business, we pause to ask thy help to guide and direct us as we conduct the public business. We know that we can do nothing without thy help. We also ask that thou would shed thy blessings and the comfort on the family and friends of Chief Garricky, whom you did call to yourself. Ask your blessings upon the members of this council, those here present, the employees and the residents of this city. We pause to give thee the praise, honor, and glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, both now and ever, and unto ages of ages. Amen. Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call to order this meeting of our City Council is our September 19th, 2016 meeting. Roll call, please.
Wayne Bowen. Here. Bob Fox. Here. Robbie Guard.
Here.
Victor Gunn.
Here.
Shelley Moore. Here. Harry Rediger.
Here.
Joseph Azura.
Here. Need a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Gunn.
Second.
Seconded by Guard. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We had listed a presentation this evening for Heritage Days. That was done during our study session. I will call to everyone's attention all of the many events from Friday, September 30th through Sunday, October 2nd that will be going on. This probably isn't a full list, but very busy week celebrating our history and our heritage. An event at Crisp Museum on Friday the 30th. That'll be open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The museum, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. On Saturday the 1st. Fort D Historic Site recreation, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Glen House will be open on that Saturday. Old St. Vincent's will be open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Red House will be open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And Old Larimer Cemetery will be open for tours 1:30 to 4. And on Sunday, again, Cape Heritage Museum open 12 to 3. Crisp Museum during the day. Fort D Historic again. Glen House open again. And a tour of an event at Fairmont Cemetery 2 to 4. So a lot going on. Be a very busy week as we celebrate our history and our heritage. A real base to our city of Cape Girardeau. Communications. Mr. Fox, maybe we'll lead off with you.
I'd just like to report on the Missouri Municipal League Conference. They had some excellent workshops on citizen engagement, on integrating art in downtown, on economic development, on dealing with floods, on communications, and social media and priority-based budgeting. Those are just ones I attended. They had a lot more. And so other people attended others too. So, but I think like any meeting you go to, whether it's for MML or it's a dental meeting or it's some other meeting, where you really learn is networking with other people and your peers and talking about problems they have in their communities or we have, or talking about the good things that have gone on here. And there've been a lot of good things going on in Cape. So that was good. And I want to mention again that Jessica Sexton and Nicolette both gave presentations on communications and social media. So that was really kind of neat for Cape Girardeau. One other thing that I might mention is that MML gives out innovation awards every year. And one of those awards this year was to Blue Springs for a new sports complex. And their sports complex was 76,000 square feet, had 1 soccer field and 2 basketball courts. And all I could think about was the tour I had with several of you of our sports complex that's being built. That's, I think, 121,000 square feet, has 2 big regulation soccer fields, 6 basketball courts that turn into 12 volleyball courts. And I realized how lucky we really are in Cape Girardeau. Blue Springs is a city that's outside Kansas City, that's a little bigger than what Cape is. Mm-hmm. But we just don't know how lucky we're going to have. That's going to help with tourism. And I got to thinking about John Maynard being here talking about the Convention and Business Bureau and how they're going to, use that to help promotions and bring business and bring things to the city. And it's unbelievable how lucky we are.
Very good. Thank you for the report. Anybody else on that went to MML have anything different?
I was pleased to see all the staff there this year, our staff.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I missed. I was in Natchez, Mississippi at a Mississippi River Mayors event. 70 mayors up and down the river from Bemidji, Minnesota to New Orleans. We had a 3-day event. Talked about many things. I'll just highlight just a couple, 3 specific discussions on container on barge and the coming multitude of additional traffic that's going to become on barge and on containers on barge as a part of our Mississippi River with the coming of the expanded Panama Canal. We also had a presentation, an exciting one that recognized National Geographic. We have a memorandum of understanding with National Geographic and Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative to really greatly exploit tourism along the river. We'll be working with our CVB on that with National Geographic. And there are other issues that I will be reporting on as we go forward. I also participated in the unveiling of the public safety sculpture honoring and remembering public safety police officers and firemen. That was part of the 9/11 event. A great new sculpture on the grounds of the Museum on Independence that was privately funded and crafted by Chris Wubina from the Southeast. I welcomed and talked to the opening of the corporate games yesterday at Osage with a crowd of over 200, between 200 and 250, 14th year for that, and 22 teams on Sunday afternoon to kick off 2 weeks, is it, Julia? 2 weeks of corporate games. 22 corporate teams that not only were corporate teams for the games, but I told them they were also our corporate and city partners, as they are very involved in our city. And Victor, I think you had a couple of events.
I attended I call it the old motorcycle event, but it was Cannonball was coming through town. And it was kind of exciting to see all the motorcycles lined up on Water Street and get to look at them and realize they were only 30 years older than I was. But anyway, there was a lot of excitement downtown.
Showing their age?
No, they were kind of creaky. And anyway, the motorcycles were neat. It was nice to see them. It was nice to see the riders seemed to be very appreciative. I actually overheard some of them talking, and they said they were very appreciative of the welcome they get in Cape Girardeau. They didn't know who I was. I just heard them talking. Yeah. And they were heading off to get a free meal, and that was nice for them. And in your absence, at your request, I managed to judge the old cars, the trucks, and the motorcycles not part of the race. And that was a fun event. And other than a slight bit of rain, which kind of made things wet, the downtown was busy. And when you consider the fair was going on, and then all the other events that followed, like the next day and the weekend, Cape Girardeau was having a great weekend. So I was glad to be a part of it. Thank you.
Very, very busy. Councilman Moore, you had a statement.
I would just like to remind everybody that the SNAP meeting is the 4th Tuesday of every month, and they meet at Salvation Army at 5:30. I'm asking if you have an idea, something that you think that will help us address some of the issues that we're facing in Ward 2, just come to the meeting and share it with us, and even also get a chance, that opportunity to hear testimonies and things like that of things that are going on in the community and how we have increased some changes, but not everything. But so if you're welcome to come, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, council members, building on some of the earlier discussion about this weekend in Cape Girardeau, yesterday I went to the opening of the second floor of the Discovery Playhouse. And it's a really remarkable area of opportunity for education and enjoyment for children and even their parents. So I would encourage people to visit Discovery Playhouse. Incredible work by that nonprofit and by community partners. Also building on the discussion about things happening with the Citizens of Parks and Recreation, I ran the City Roses Half Marathon on Sunday. And once again, Parks and Rec showed that they know how to sponsor major events. There were over 175 finishers with the half marathon. I was way at the bottom of the pack, I'll point out. But also another 75 or so who ran the 5K. This is also the state championship for this marathon, half marathon. So remarkable event. I heard a lot of discussion from out-of-state people about, wow, what a great town. And people who came in the night before were planning to stay another night, and discussions back up forth about what else to see in the city. So it was a really remarkable showcase. And again, thanks to Parks and Rec and other city departments that contributed to that event. And then finally, I just want to make a brief comment about the police department's decision on funeral escorts. I want to thank Chief Blair and his team for having the wisdom to make what I know is a hard decision. But we asked them to be good stewards of the resources we provide, whether officers or equipment. I know this is the best way to make more efficient use of that. And So I think it's incumbent on all of us to continue to bring that message that there are reasons for this, and that it allows our officers to focus on community engagement, increased patrols, and servicing to our communities where we really need the help. And it's unfortunate we have to give up something that's nice to do, but there are things that we must do. So thank you again to Chief Blair and your department for that decision.
And one other thing, as we are so busy in our city, the end of the month, the LST will be on the water here at the Cape Riverfront, and the B-17 will be out at the airport at the same time. Again, as we celebrating history, and it just happened that those would happen at the time of our Heritage Day, so those two will be here. Last thing, go ahead.
I forgot to mention, and part of that event downtown, I should be remiss if I didn't say I saw lots of Cape Girardeau volunteers. Old Town Cape was out in force. I mean, I just failed to mention that, but it's nice to see all the people trying to sell our city as a place to go and make other people from out of town comfortable. And they were doing that, so I thought I should add that.
Great, thanks for your comment.
Harry, I also neglected to mention another event this weekend that I attended. The River City Riders had their huge car show downtown. And again, there were a lot of people from downtown out about, and cars were lined all up and down Main Street, all over the parking lot in front of Hudson's. And
yep.
I don't know how many vehicles they had. They had lots of different classifications, but it's really neat to see some of the old vehicles and some of the money and the care these people put into them. And they were there from Indiana and Ohio and Illinois and Tennessee and all over. And many of them came in Friday and had a big drive around town on Friday evening. So they spent the night in town, and it's a big thing. You know, besides all of the same thing, the fair ending and Seymour Family Weekend, there was a lot of things going on in Cape this last week.
Very good, thank you. Yeah, so much going on, and it takes a lot of people, more than any staff, to make those things work. I want to mention one thing that struck me this weekend. I had heard of, and I talked about this at the study session, but I had heard of the stabbings in a city in Minnesota over the weekend, but I didn't hear a newscast to get the details till this morning when I turned on the CBS National News at 7 p.m. or a.m. and saw a friend of mine, the mayor of St. Cloud, Minnesota, on there speaking. And lo and behold, that stabbing was in a mall in St. Cloud, Minnesota. And I'd just been with Mayor Dave Kleiss in Natchez, Mississippi, just 3 days previous, 2 evenings having dinner with him. We have such a common bond between us because we're almost sister cities. St. Cloud, Minnesota, about the same size, on the Mississippi River, river town. St. Cloud State, a nice university in the city, nice mall. And little did he know when we were there and when he made his trip home last weekend that his city would be struck with what is, I guess, being considered a terrorist attack. It just struck me that wow, a sister city, Midwest, it can happen anywhere. It doesn't have to be New York or Los Angeles or a metropolitan area. And I would encourage all our citizens, we're so fortunate with having our police and fire here protecting us 24/7, but I would encourage all citizens to be aware with what's going on around them, businesses, business owners, etc., neighborhoods, residences. Be alert for anything that you see that, and I'm going to have Chief Blair comment on this too, but be alert to anything that's unusual and doesn't look right, because we live in a very dangerous time right now, and it can happen anywhere. And if we can prevent any of these things from happening, it's lives saved. I just was struck by that this morning when I saw him on CBS National News, and I know that he wasn't expecting to be on CBS National News when he went home from Natchez last weekend. So Chief, if you'll comment to that too.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to add to that, you're absolutely right. These are dangerous times that we live in, and anything that looks out of the ordinary is not too small of a thing to report to us. If it seems unusual or it raises a concern for a citizen, we want them to call 911. That's what we're there for. It's not a bother to us. We'd rather check out 1,000 different things that end up being nothing than have the one thing that is an event. And so I just encourage citizens to keep their eyes open and contact us with anything.
There's no real threat here, but we're all involved in this in our great country. So thank you. Staff, anything?
Scott and I and Alex will all be attending the ICMA conference next week, the International City and County Managers Association conference in Kansas City. Again, another great opportunity to network with folks and attend some great sessions. So at the next council meeting, we'll be glad to report on what we learned there.
Okay, great. Those are what days?
I will actually be leaving this Thursday, but the conference begins Saturday. I'm doing an assistant city manager exchange on Friday with another city in the Kansas City area.
Great,
So
very good.
see what some other folks are doing.
Okay, we have no public hearings this evening. Anyone here to appear before the council on any item that is on the agenda? Looking out at the crowd. Seeing none, Eric, if you would go take us through our consent agenda.
Number 16-150, an ordinance being Schedule K of Section 26-121 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, by establishing a yield sign on Abbey Road, and ordinance amending Schedule K of Section 26-121 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, by establishing a yield sign on Abbey Road. Number 16-151, an ordinance amending Schedule V of Section 26-31 of the City Code by repealing a 30-minute loading zone on Henderson Avenue in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and ordinance amending Schedule V of Section 26-31 of the City Code by repealing a 30-minute loading zone on Henderson Avenue in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 16-153, an ordinance authorizing city manager to execute amendment number 1 of the state block grant agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission to fund the design and construction necessary to replace runway 1028 lighting circuits at the Cape Girardeau Regional Airport. An ordinance authorizing city manager to execute amendment number 1 of the state block grant agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission to fund the design and construction necessary to replace runway 1028 lighting circuits at the Cape Girardeau Regional Airport. Number 16-160, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute an agreement with Reinhold Electric Inc. for runway 1028 electrical lighting rehabilitation at the Cape Girardeau Regional Airport. Number 16-164, resolution authorizing city manager to execute an agreement with Keithner Brothers Inc. for the fire station number 1 interior renovation and addition in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 16-154, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute an agreement with Penzel Construction Company Inc. for fire station number 2 annex in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 16-159, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute an agreement with Keithner Brothers Inc. for the fire station number 2 interior renovation in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 16-158, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute an amendment to the agreement with Markey and Associates Inc. for professional design services for Cape Splash Water Park in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 16-157, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute an agreement with KCI Construction Company Inc. for the construction of Cape Splash Phase 2 in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 16-161, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute a performance agreement with DI Hotels Sun LLC for our Drive 3rd subdivision in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Number 16-162, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute a license and indemnity agreement with Southeast Missouri State University for installation of conduit and fiber cable along 600 block of Broadway in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill number 16-163, resolution authorizing city manager to execute an agreement with Eisler Demolition Inc. for the demolition of the 2 million gallon Gordonville tank number 1 in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Council, you've heard the consent agenda. I have a motion for approval. So moved by Guard.
Second.
And seconded by Bowen. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like my vote on item number 12, recorded as an abstention because of my employment.
Okay, that would be an abstention from Councilman Bowen on number 12.
And also wonder if the WCI manager could mention the changes that might be involved with items 6, 7, and 8 on our fire stations.
Yes, as we discussed during the work study session, the current project costs for the fire station projects exceed the available funding. So we are currently evaluating the scope of work, particularly in regards to fire station number 1. We will continue to work with our architects and contractors over the coming 45 to 60 days to drill down on that farther and determine what the actual shortfall is. At that time, we will either look for alternative funding sources or reduce the scope of work.
Any other discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. New ordinances, number 14, bill number 16-155, an ordinance amending Schedule F of Section 26-247 of the Code of Ordinance, City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, by repealing no parking anytime along a portion of West End Boulevard. First reading. So moved by Bowen. Seconded by Ozura. Any discussion? This and item 15 also are cleanup ordinances of the past. Any other discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 15, bill number 16-156, an ordinance amending Schedule P, Section 26-248 of the Code of Ordinance, City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, by repealing a limited parking zone along a portion of Highland Drive. First reading. So moved by Fox. Seconded by Ozura. Any discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 16, bill number 16-165, an ordinance approving the record plat of JD's Place. First reading. So moved by Guard. Second by Fox. Any discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Bill number 16-166, an ordinance approving the record plat of Farrar Drive, third subdivision. First reading. So moved by Fox, seconded by Bowen. Any discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, bill number 16-167, an ordinance approving the record plat of Independence Village subdivision. First reading. So moved by Ozura. Seconded by Bowen. Any discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And we have an appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and as discussed in our study session, that recommendation has come back as Kevin Greaser. If I could have a motion.
So moved.
So moved by Gunn,
Second.
seconded by Ozura. Any discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any other business to come before us?
Move to adjourn.
By Gunn,
Second.
seconded by Ozura. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Although, you know, that's from us.